Hello, Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Pete Dougherty here at Lambeau Field, where, Pete, the mood is much, much different here than it was just 14 days ago, 13 days ago, however you do your calendar math. Packers, after winning 3 in a row, have now dropped the last 2, including one today versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, 34-20. Pete, so much to unpack from this one, but let's start with the defensive side and the Baker Mayfield of it. First time in Lambeau Field history, this field has been here since 1957, first time in Lambeau Field history that an opposing quarterback has come into Lambeau and left with a perfect passer rating. And this is the same Baker Mayfield that came in around mid-December the last 2 years, inevitably had a play or an interception that kind of gave the Packers a chance to win. Is this one of the worst defensive performances you've seen here?
You mean at this field? Because the championship game against the 49ers several years ago
covering the Packers
was much worse than this. But it was bad. No, I've seen there've been a lot of really bad defensive performances out here in that time. But this was bad, and there was a lot at stake. And I think Joe Barry's going to have a really tough time surviving what's happened the last 2 weeks. Now, I'm not saying he'll get fired during the season. I would just guess not, but we could talk about what LaFleur said in a minute. But I would guess not, but really tough to see him surviving this.
Speaking of what LaFleur said about Joe Barry, LaFleur's been asked before when the defenses had their struggles about Joe Barry's job. It's a good thing I don't work in words, isn't it? He has been asked before about Joe Barry's job, and he's always shut it down pretty quickly. He did not do that today. Before we dive into it, let's actually hear what LaFleur had to say.
Matt, would you ever consider an in-season change at coordinator?
Now's not the time for that, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
Because now's not the time. I'm trying to find solutions, and I got to go back and take a look at the film.
Pete, you were in the room when LaFleur was asked that and gave that answer. What was your initial reaction?
It just jumped out with like a crazy man waving a red flag that he did not say, no, that's not on the table, that's not happening. He did not shut it down. Like I said just a little bit ago, I mean, my guess is he wouldn't do it during the season. I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but just having observed this guy, I would guess he wouldn't, but I have a lot of trouble believing Joe Barry can survive. I mean, DeVito last week, and then giving up 34 to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield he's not a bad quarterback, but to give up 34 against him and the way it happened, just really tough to see him surviving this.
Speaking of the Baker Mayfield part of it, I think he finished, as we said, with a perfect passer rating. Well, let me pull up his final stats. Rashawn Gary had an interesting comment about him afterwards. He said, Baker's always been that guy. He's always been a field general. It's just today he didn't make the mistakes, and the Packers didn't force mistakes. Baker finished 22 of 28 for 381 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times, Pete, including a fumble that the Packers recovered with Kingsley Enagbare, but it wasn't enough. How much of this do you put on Baker Mayfield, and how much do you put it on the Packers defense not capitalizing or creating opportunities?
He played a nice game, and he put the ball on the money. He's not that elusive for a little quarterback. He's not that elusive. He's definitely not fast. His short area quickness is okay, but as you said, they sacked him 5 times. It was just coverage issues. You know, this is a little thing, so it's easy just to pick out, but it just kind of jumped out to me on the 4th down. The Packers had fourth and 10, and the Bucs brought, I got to go back and look, but it was at least 6, maybe 7.
When they sacked Love.
And the play got blown up from the start. Packers get these 2nd and 29, 3rd and 14, and they weren't coming after him. I just wonder if some of that is an indication of mindset, of feel. There was something, I've got to go back and look at LaFleur's quote, but there was something that he said that just made me wonder if he was almost suggesting you have to play that game of guessing whether they're going to run or pass. And he said, he basically said that they haven't been very good at that. And I took that as an implicit criticism of the feel of the play caller on defense.
Okay, that's an interesting takeaway. We'll want to go back and listen to that as well. And to that point, do you think earlier on in the year they were able to get home with 4 even 3, a couple times even 2, just depending on the situation. Actually, I don't think they ever did 2, but they were able to get home with 4 and 3. Do you think that's thinking, okay, well, it's worked in the past, it should work again here, without adjusting to what you're seeing in the opponent?
Yeah, it could be. And you know, the thing is, I mean, I'm not sure Joe Barry's any worse than many of the coordinators in this league, but their goals are high. And if you're an offensive coach, the most important guy in your staff is your defensive coordinator. He's got to run that side of the ball. If you're going to call plays on offense, you can't be immersed in the defense all game long too. And so you got to have a guy you have a lot of faith in, and I just don't see how they can have a lot of faith. Now, I'm always don't rush to judgment, but I mean, we're almost through this season, and this is his 3rd season, and things don't seem any better now than they were a couple years ago, or last year, for instance. So, again, it's just really tough. It sure looks like the Packers are going to have a new defensive coordinator next year. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah,
next year, as in between now and 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. I'm guessing he won't pull the trigger during the season, but you never know.
Let's actually hear from a couple of those guys in the locker room, like Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, on what they thought the issues were today.
You know, we had been in a lot of, whether it was 2nd and long or 3rd and long situations, and we couldn't get off the field. You know, it's tough. You know, any defense and allowing them to you know, keep the drives going and keep us on the field. It's tough. So we got to be better there. Look at the film, be critical of ourselves, and figure it out.
Everything that Baker did today, you know, we done seen. He's able to expand the pocket, able to expand plays, able to get the ball out fast. He's a good field general, you know, but he hasn't shown anything different that we haven't seen on film.
Do you think the scheme was right for going up against Baker? Were you guys feel like you're in the right position, just not executing, or was it just?
Of course, going into the game, I feel like we got the right game plan. I feel like we're able to execute and come out on top, but to see the breakdown of the game, see how things went right or left, I have to go back, watch film, which I'm about to do in a couple of minutes to see where we went right or wrong. And like I said, come back, make them corrections, and get to work.
Flipping to the other side of the ball here, Pete. Jordan Love finished 29 of 39, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, but 2 sacks. And a passer rating of 111.5. Not horrible, but it pales in comparison, of course, to somebody with a perfect passer rating like Mayfield did today. Was this one of those performances where the offense almost needed to get into a shootout, and they didn't? They didn't necessarily have a bad day, but they didn't have a great day. And is that what you need when your defense is playing like it did?
Yeah, I mean, getting up early makes things a little easier on the defense. You know, Love missed the touchdown pass to Reed on that, that first possession down there. It wasn't wide open, but it was open. He just missed the throw, so that they got no points out of that, where they could have had 7. And they had other chances, but it wasn't bad. And I mean, Love makes some, like, there was a couple wild plays. That touchdown pass that he threw, where he scrambled out and hit Reed in the corner of the end zone. That was a great play on both ends. So it was okay. It wasn't bad at all. But yeah, they would have needed a special performance from Love and from the offense to have won today.
And as you said, there were some special moments, but not an overall special performance, and that's what they needed. Dontavian Wicks finished with 6 receptions on 7 targets for 97 yards. He had a couple of different 3rd down conversions where he just kind of became the guy. A lot of those yards came after contact as well. He's such a lithe guy. The media guide listed him at 6'1", 206. I think that's a media guide, 6'1", 206. But he said afterwards, there's a lot of big DBs in this league, but you're going to have to prove you're tougher than me when we're on the field. Is that kind of what you need, especially if you don't have Christian Watson to take the top off and create those explosive plays? Do you need somebody like Dontavian Wicks, like Tucker Kraft, maybe making those explosives with yards after the catch?
Yeah, they're not going to make the play downfield, so they got to make it after they get the ball in their hands. And Wicks, there's a lot to like about that guy. It's funny, he runs 4.62, I think it was. That's pretty slow for a receiver in this league, and yet every time you look up, the guy's open and catching the ball while he's open. So there's something going on with him. He's just a really interesting player. And Kraft, I think they got something there too. That tight end combo next year is going to be a problem for people, I think.
I heard someone on Twitter say this week, too many people try to overthink the tight end position. You need a guy from the heartland that's got a little crazy in his eye, and that's what you need in your tight end as Tucker Kraft. Let's actually hear from both of those guys on what they thought of their performances today.
I run every route like I'm expecting to catch the ball. Get my eyes at the quarterback. If it's coming to me, I try to obviously catch it and then secure it, and then everything after that's just all improv.
It's surprising. There's a lot of big DBs and bigger DBs in the league. So it's just tough on tough. You know, whoever the most physical and wanting more, that's who's gonna get it. And like I said, that's something I go by. You gotta show me you tougher than me. While we out there, talking ain't gonna get it. It's all in action. So.
Pete, they now sit at 6-8, still technically, mathematically in the playoff picture. Have Panthers, Vikings, Bears in front of them. I don't know if the Bears won today, but they were leading at one point. After these last two games, the Bucks and the Giants, are you more or less indifferent, confident about what the Packers can do in their ability to make the playoffs?
Well, it just gets a lot tougher because I'm thinking, 2 weeks ago I thought they need to go 3-2 to get in. 4-1 for sure would get them in. 3-2 would probably get them in. So now they got to win 3 in a row. The only thing I'll say on all this is, remember how bleak things looked when they were losing 4 in a row and how bad it looked. And it was just like, can they beat anybody? Can they even score? And it turned around fast. Now, their offense is good enough where it's not like their defense has to be great to win games. So could they win the next 3? I mean, they're not playing the they're not playing the 49ers and the Chiefs and whoever. Yeah, I mean, it's not Murderers Row that's coming up here. So sure, they could do it. They could play a lot better. I think they'll have a tough time with Chicago. I think the Bears their defense ever since they made the trade for the pass rusher. Sweat. I think they've gotten a lot better. So no, I would not bet on them. But if they went out and won 3 in a row and got in, it would not be a shock at all.
This team's going to give you whiplash this year. That is for sure. Pete, this is our last one together. Are you a little sad?
It is. This is a sad day that you're running out on us. We're just a stepping stone for you. That's what we're here for.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I can right up our backs and on our show. That's okay.
I can hear the sadness in your voice.
Now, congratulations, though. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you. It's bittersweet for sure, but I'll see you next week, just in a different capacity. Until then, stay tuned to PackersNews.com for full wrap-up coverage of the Packers' 34-20 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will have everything you need to hear from Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, and others there after the game. For Pete, I'm Kassidy. He'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.